Hi everybody, my name is Samantha Nelson. I'm the Director of Community Wellness and Outreach at the Renville County Hospital and Clinic System up in Olivia, Minnesota. Today I want to share with you some tips and techniques for self-care. I'm going to start out with a little story. We'll go into some actual self-care techniques that are pretty simple to practice really wherever you're at. And then I wanted to end with just kind of like a farewell greeting or story that I got from our restorative justice coordinator this week that I really like. So to start off, I want to talk a little bit about stress, but we're going to do it through this story. Some of you might have heard this, but for others it might be new. So here's the story with the first question. Are you a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean? A young woman went to her mother and told her about her life and how things were so hard for her. She didn't know how she was going to make it, and she wanted to give up. She was tired of fighting and struggling. It seemed as if as soon as one problem was solved, another one arose. Her mother took her to the kitchen. The mother filled 3 pots with water. In the first, she placed carrots. In the second, she placed eggs. In the last one, she placed ground coffee beans. She let them sit and boil without saying a word. About 20 minutes later, the mother turned off the burners. She fished the carrots out and placed them in a bowl. She pulled the eggs out and placed them in a bowl. Then she ladled the coffee out and placed it in a bowl. Turning to her daughter, she said, "Tell me what you see." "Carrots, eggs, and coffee," she replied. She brought her closer and asked her to feel the carrots. She did, and noted that they felt soft. She then asked her to take an egg and break it. After pulling off the shell, she observed that the hard-boiled egg inside. Finally, she asked her to sip the coffee. The daughter smiled as she tasted its rich aroma. Then the daughter asked, "What's the point, Mom?" Her mother explained that each of these objects had faced the same challenge, boiling water, but each one reacted differently. The carrot went in strong, hard, and unrelenting. However, after being subjected to the boiling water, it softened and became very weak. The egg had been fragile. Its thin outer shell had protected its liquid center, but after sitting through the boiling water, its insides had become hardened. The ground coffee beans were unique, though. After they were in the boiling water, they had changed the water. "So which are you?" the mother asked the daughter. "When challenging times knock on your door, how do you respond? Are you a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean?" Think of this. Which one are you? Are you the carrot that seems strong, but with pain and adversity, do you wilt and become soft and lose your strength? Are you the egg that starts with a malleable heart, but changes with heat? Do you have a fluid spirit, but after a death, a breakup, financial hardship, or some other stress, become hardened and stiff? Does your outer shell look the same, but on the inside you've become bitter and tough, with a stiff spirit and a hardened heart? Or are you like the coffee bean? The bean actually changes the hot water, the very circumstances that bring the pain and the stress. When the water gets hot, it releases the fragrance and flavor of the bean. If you are like the bean, when things are at their worst, you get better and you help change the situation around you instead of letting it change you. When the hours are the darkest and the trials are their greatest, do you elevate to another level? How do you handle difficult times? And how do you handle stress? So, with that story in mind, I want to just do a really quick overview of what self-care is. In really simple terms, the way that I explain it, self-care always has a personal meaning. I can tell you what I do for self-care, and you might look at me and think I'm kind of crazy. you might tell me what you do for self-care, and I might think that's never going to work for me. So remember that self-care is like stress management, but distinctly different in the sense that when you're talking about self-care, it is so personal that you have to take time to explore different techniques and different strategies that are applicable to your own life. They have to fit your culture, they have to fit your lifestyle, um, and they're also quite different than coping skills. So I think a lot of people, when they're talking about stress management or self-care, refer to coping skills. And coping skills are things that you do to make it through a situation or to get through adversity. Coping skills are things that are just steps that keeps you surviving. It doesn't bring you to a space where you can thrive and be really, really well. So coping skills and self-care are quite different. And the way that I like to think of it or explain it is a coping strategy, like I said, gets you through a tough time. But self-care, on the other hand, is something that actually triggers health. It's a cause of health and wellness in your life. So as an example, I used to be a teacher, and I remember every single Wednesday night, a group of teachers from the school that I taught at would go out for happy hour, right? So every Wednesday night at 4 o'clock or 4:30, it was let's go meet at this restaurant. And the purpose of that, they called it self-care. But they would go and complain about other colleagues. They would go and complain about their students. And they would drink and eat lots of food. So that was they called it self-care, but I would argue that it was a coping strategy because none of the strategies brought health to them, right? The science of stress and brain and body science right now tells us that when you're complaining, when you're lamenting or thinking about bad stuff in the past, you're actually continuing to release cortisol and other negative hormones that are impacting your body in a more harmful way. However, if you look to self-care or a trigger of wellness, if those group of teachers, instead of going to drink and eat bar food and complain about people together, let's say they would have created like a painting class together. So every Wednesday night they would paint together, or every Wednesday night they would go for a walk after school. Every Wednesday night they would have drum circle. Every Wednesday night they would go work in a garden together, right? All of those things are grounding to your energy. They're grounding to your mind, body, spirit, and they're bringing you back into the present moment to take care of yourself. When you're in a state like that, you begin to experience decreased blood pressure, your heart rate decreases, your body calms and rebalances, and all the hormones in your body then become regulated. You become much more balanced, and in that state, you're actually triggering your own health. You're creating or inspiring causes of health in your own life. So with that in mind, I wanted to teach you 2 different techniques that can help you monitor stress in your own life. The first one is focused on the heart center, and then the second one is going to be a full body scan. So if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, you can write down a couple of numbers. If you don't, that's fine, just kind of keep track in your head. So this first one, we're just going to do a simple heart rate monitoring technique. I need you to either lie down on the floor or you can sit tall in a chair, but try to make sure that your legs are straight, your feet are on the floor. We don't want our legs crossed because it decreases our blood circulation. And then just let your arms either sit on the table in front of you or rest at your sides. And if they're resting at your side, You'll notice that your shoulders get to relax a little bit and you sit up a little bit taller. So for this first part, I need you to find your heart rate, either on your neck, or I need you to find your heart rate on your wrist. It's up to you. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to find that. And just take a few seconds again to observe the heart rate. Make sure you're not pressing too hard. We just want to feel it and sense it. And we're going to time this for 30 seconds. So when I say go, start counting how many beats you feel. When I say stop, either write down or simply remember the number. So ready, go. Almost there. And stop. So write that number down or remember it. And now I want you to just let your arms rest at your side. And while you're sitting here or lying on the floor, find your heart rate, not with your hands and not with a device, but simply close your eyes, let your body soften, and feel your heart rate. Feel it in your chest, feel it in your stomach, feel it in your hands or your feet. We're not going to actually palpate and actually feel it with our hand like we just did. Simply sense it. So I'll give you a couple of seconds again to find that beat or that pace. Again, long breathing. Close the eyes if you're comfortable. Just find that sense and that pace. And we'll begin counting right now. We're almost there. And stop. Write that number down or remember it. And the first number that you recorded and the second number that you just recorded, the closer together those two numbers are, the idea is the more intuitive that you are or the more connected you are to your own body. The further apart those two numbers are, usually the more stressed out you might be. So this is a technique, again, that you can use over time. You can do this wherever you are. While you're sitting in the car, you can do it while you're sitting in the office, you can do it right before you go to bed. But it helps you monitor how present you are, how grounded you are, and then over time it can kind of help you monitor how stressed out you get, how triggered you get by different stressful events. But it's simple. I hope that you could all feel when you were just doing the simple observation technique, I hope you could feel your heart rate starting to decrease just a little bit and start to feel that pulse through the whole body from your toes all the way up through your head. That's the whole sense, is that self-care is about being aware. If we're aware of the stress in our body, then we are aware enough to implement a technique that can help us slow down. It can help us, again, trigger health instead of coping to get through the stress. The next technique is called a basic body scan. So again, you can sit in your chair with your feet on the floor. You can lie down on your back, or you can stand up if you'd like to do that too. In this technique, we're going to be working from our toes up to the top of our head, and we're going to again be coming into a space of awareness, looking for sensations or different qualities throughout the body, and then softening. And that's all there is to it. It's quite simple. So wherever you are, if you're comfortable, feel free to close your eyes. As you close your eyes, think about a time and space where you were very comfortable and nurtured by another person. You felt comfortable enough to fall asleep in the moment. That's the feeling we want with the eyelids and the face. So soften the eyelids, soften the cheeks, feel the tip of the nose, feel your nose soften. Take a long breath in through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and then inhale through the nose again. This time exhale through the nose, and just continue that breath pattern. In through the nose, out through the nose, trying to make each breath a little bit longer than the breath before it. Now I want you to bring your awareness down to your toes and your feet, up through your ankles. You can move them if you need to, or you can just let them be still. And simply bring your awareness to any sensations or qualities. No judgment, no value or measurement on the quality, simply notice. And then on the exhale, soften. Let them feel heavy, like they're sinking into the earth. Move your awareness now up through the lower legs, all the way up to the knees. And again, notice any sensations. Consider the quality of the lower leg and the knees. And on the exhale, soften that space. Again, let it feel heavy. Let it feel like it's sinking down into the earth. Bring the awareness then to the upper leg, into the hips, and all the way up into the lower back. And again, notice any sensations and qualities in this space. As best as you can on an exhale, soften. No judgment, no value or no labels. Simply consider the quality of that space and continue to soften it. Now we're going to go up the spine, one vertebrae at a time, one bone at a time. Very slowly, just become aware of qualities or sensations in the lower back. Moving up to the mid-back. Continuing into the upper back. And even up into the neck, considering the qualities of the spine. Softening on the exhale and allowing yourself to sink or feel heavy in the earth or against your chair. And then bring the awareness down to the belly button. Feel the breath moving in and out of that space. Notice the quality, the sensations in the core or the stomach area all the way around the belly button. As you inhale, let it expand. As you exhale, let it soften. And then let's move out to the fingertips and the hands, all the way up through the arms, up to the shoulders. Again, just take a moment to consider the qualities and the sensations that you feel. No labels, no value judgments. On an exhale, soften. And then we'll move up into the neck and the face. Consider any qualities or sensations here. On an exhale, soften the skin under the ears. Soften the cheeks. create a little tiny space between the back teeth, relaxing the jaw. Relax this space between the eyebrows. Relax the forehead. Exhale and continue to soften. And then bring the awareness to your thoughts. What are the qualities of the thoughts? What sensations do you feel in the body as a whole because of the thoughts in your mind? And again, no judgment, no labels here. Simply be aware of the thoughts. And then as you exhale, let them go. Move on to what's next, or move it back into the present. Take another long breath in through the nose and start coming back to the present moment. Exhaling through the mouth, wiggling the fingers and toes gently. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And feel free to open the eyes very gently, look around the room, looking for something new or something novel, something that makes you curious. Again, another really simple way to bring you back into the moment and help ground you. So that's a body scan. We practiced some basic breath work in the body scan, but I'd like to take about 30 seconds just to cover the basic breath work in a couple of different phases. So breath work really is the base of all movement. We all breathe all day long, but so often, like with our stress, it's hard to let it go, right? So as we become more aware of our breath, we find that as we inhale into the chest and like up in this shoulder region, a shallow breath, and then we tend to hold it, and we don't really let a full exhale go. We don't soften this space again. In a long breath pattern, we actually want the breath to come in through the nose and all the way down, or visualize it going all the way down to the belly button. We want to expand the stomach. We want to soften it so that all of the process, all of the organs and all the systems down there can start doing their thing again. So again, come back into that tall, nice tall posture. Let your shoulders round down the back. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Again, if you want to lie down on the floor, that's fine, or stand nice and tall. And we'll come back into the breath pattern. So again, inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Keep breathing at your own pace. And I just want to share a couple of other breath techniques that are really powerful and again, quite simple to do. So when you begin falling into this long breath pattern, one of the easiest ways to do it is inhale and in your head count to 4 or 5. On an exhale, again count to 4 or 5. On the inhale, same pace. On the exhale, same pace. And what you're doing is you're regulating your breath pattern. So instead of a shallow breath in and a long breath out, or a long breath in and holding on and then a shallow breath out, we're expanding and extending so that the inhale and the exhale are consistent. A long breath pattern. Something else that's really helpful and really simple is to do alternate nostril breathing. So what you'll do is you'll put your thumb up and you'll put your pinky up. You'll press your thumb really gently against the right nostril. So you're inhaling through the left. and exhaling through the left. And then you'll switch to the other side. Again, a really gentle pressure, not pushing the nose over. Inhaling through the right side. Exhaling through the right side. Switch. Switch back. And something to be aware of when you're doing the alternate nostril breathing, you want to be very gentle. You want to do this for a short period of time to start with, just to see how your body responds to it. When you're practicing, you'll notice that if you have a stuffed up nose on one side and not the other, you might actually start to clear some of the congestion by practicing this breath work. You'll also find that as you're switching from one side to the other, you're helping yourself regulate and balance because we're activating opposite sides of the brain. So we're going left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain, and trying to connect and kind of basically balance our energy in our brains. The next thing that I want to do is just really, really super simple movement. Again, it doesn't take long. You can do it pretty much anywhere you are. It seems like simple stretching, but if you apply the breath work to it and you're more focused on the quality of the movement than the quantity of the movement, we call this mindful movement. It's another self-care technique. It's not exercise. We're not trying to elevate the heart rate. It's mindful movement. We're trying to become more aware of the body and more aware of the muscles so that we can trigger health in our body. So really simply, again, we're going to come into that nice tall posture. On an inhale, we're going to bring our head back just a little bit. We're not tipping it all the way back. As we exhale, we're going to tip our ear toward our right shoulder and then forward, tucking the chin. We're not pressing it against the chest, and then over to the left. Ooh, that sun is bright, isn't it? Let's move over here. So we'll inhale looking up very gently. Exhale to the right. Tuck the chin. Round over to the left. Inhale back up to center. Exhale to the right. Forward. Left. Back to center. Exhale to the right. Forward. Left. And inhale back to center. At your own pace, take a couple of breaths here. And when you're ready, we'll exhale to the left, forward, right, inhaling back up. Exhale to the left, forward, right, back up. Exhale to the left, forward, right, back up. Again, super simple movement, but by applying the breath work to it, we just change the intentionality of the movement. It's not just a stretch, it's not exercise, it's a mindful movement that's bringing us to a state of awareness so that we can better identify stress that we're carrying in the neck, stress that we're carrying in the upper shoulders and the upper back, and then breathing and softening that space as we go through the movement. The next space that I want to work through with you is the shoulders. There are several different ways to do this, but I think one of my favorite, because people that I work with tend to feel this one the most, is like, I like to call it wings because it looks like you're kind of trying to fly, but you put your hands on your shoulders, your elbows aren't down at the sides, they're out so that your tricep is parallel to the floor. As you inhale, you bring the wrists together behind the head. They won't actually touch, but you're just trying to bring them together. So you inhale, exhale. You can either leave the elbows resting in the front or you can actually touch them. Inhaling up, exhaling forward, inhaling up, exhaling forward. Continue this at your own pace and really be mindful that your arms and your wrists are moving around the head and the neck. The neck stays centered. You'll start to feel this in the space between the shoulder blades. And you'll also start to feel it in the chest. It'll start to open up the muscles in the chest. Okay, so we'll take a long breath in one more time. Exhale and relax. And simply from 4 to 5 of these, we've already brought some blood flow into the shoulders, into the upper back, into the chest, and released a lot of stress and tension in that space. We're just going to do one more movement, and it's the forward fold. In a lot of different programs that people go through for mindful movement, a forward fold is one that's commonly taught because it helps to calm people down very quickly. And the forward fold is really a full body stretch. You can do it either sitting on the floor or standing up. You could also do it sitting in your chair. But essentially, you want to stand up. Your feet are going to be balanced on the floor right underneath of your hips. And very, very simply, we're going to lead with the belly button, not the top of the head. Take a long breath in. As you exhale, we're going to lean forward, starting with the belly button. So notice my back is totally flat. And you just go as far forward as you are comfortable. And what I mean by comfortable is if you start to feel your back curve at all, we want to stop. So we'll inhale, exhale, leaning forward, and only go as far as you are comfortable, or only go until, until you feel your back about to curve. You're going to feel a stretch through the back of your legs, potentially all the way down through your heels. You'll feel a stretch from the base of the skull all the way down the muscles in the back. And then you feel relaxation in the front of the body. So the chest or the heart center and the stomach and the muscles around the stomach get to relax for a little bit. You can close your eyes and do this. If it's helpful, you can lean on your knees so that you don't go all the way down. But if you feel safe, if your back is flat and you feel comfortable, you could do a full forward fold where your hands might reach the back of your legs and you give yourself a hug. Your hands might actually reach your ankles or your feet. And you can stay there for a couple of breaths. Just make sure you're not holding the breath. So we're going to wrap up here, but think for a moment to yourself, what does self-care for you mean to your clients and the people that you work with? Kind of a big question. If you take care of yourself, what does that mean for your clients? And all of us, I think, understand this and know this, but we sometimes forget it, that in order to take care of the people we serve, in order to support the community, we absolutely have to practice self-care. We can't help anyone else if we ourselves aren't regulated, if we aren't healthy, if we aren't, I won't necessarily say happy, but we want to get to that place, right? So if we can get to a space where we're balanced and at our best, we can work to thrive in our own life, and only from that space can we help other people thrive. move beyond survival, and get to a place where we can succeed and do more together. So some studies or some other research, if anyone is interested, that you can look up: the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, or ACEs. That's a really good one. If you could look up anything about toxic stress or stress that you keep in your body for a long period of time, that's really good. You can look up trauma, which goes back to the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, but understanding that beyond childhood we still experience trauma, and trauma, again, is a very personal experience and personalized definition. You can just consider and look up daily stressors and consider how you might overcome daily stress. And then there's a new body of research around biocognition with someone named Dr. Mario Martinez. And biocognitive science is a way to look at health, physical health, emotional health, behavioral health, or our wellness. It's a way to look at wellness through a lens of culture. So that work is really powerful. All of these studies help bring us to a place of healing and looking at self-care as such an important part of our primary care. And again, healing and self-care from a place of how you define it as an individual person, not how someone else might tell you to go manage your stress. Different intentions and different mindset. So, to wrap up, I want to read you To My Fellow Swimmers is what this is called, and I just received it from the restorative justice coordinator in our county that I work with. And we talk a lot about, in our work, sometimes feeling alone. There aren't very many people doing the work that we do in the way that we do it. And having worked with community health workers and other teams supporting community health workers, I believe that CHW work is a new frontline, and all of you are emerging leaders in an emerging profession. So I just wanted to read this to you. I heard it on Monday evening, and I really want to share it with you. So here we go. To my fellow swimmers, we have been telling the people that this is the 11th hour. Now you must go back and tell the people that this is the hour. And there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? Are you in the right relation? Where is your water? Know your garden. It is time to speak your truth. Create your community and be good to each other. Do not look outside of yourself for the leader. Here is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid and will try to hold you to the shore. They are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, and keep our heads above water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment we do, our spiritual growth and journey come to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from our attitude and vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration, for we are the ones we have been waiting for. So thank you for all that you do and all that you're going to do in the future. Please take care of yourself. And if you want more information, please feel free to reach out. Specifically, I know that Terry had asked a little bit more about teaching some movement for women's groups, or specific groups of people that are already meeting together. So we could do that offline, or maybe we could do another session together. But for now, I just want to leave you with that message of self-care and this message of together we can do this. We're in a new place and we're all emerging and creating a culture shift in our communities. So again, thank you for your work and be well, my friends.